Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Options Mentor. Well, this week on very light volume, the holiday week, the market continued its meteoric rise, and now we're about 70 points from all-time highs once again. So we'll have to see how that works out this week. All this leading into an FOMC announcement on a rate decision, which will be a week from this Wednesday on December 10th. Widely expected to be a 25 basis point cut. So most likely that will happen. And the markets also seem to be getting a little bit off of the doldrums they had with the techs, although some of them, like Nvidia, still seem to be lagging a bit behind. So we'll see what this takes us from here. But let's look at the current situation that we are in. And once again, just take a look at this crazy rise all week on very light volume. Sometimes, you can see moves that are really untoward with that. And the following week, this coming week, may take a little of that off. We'll have to see. I wouldn't be surprised if we start the week a little positive unless some news comes out that it takes the polish off sooner. But I don't think that we'll probably have that same huge rise unless there's new news for the market to work off of. We do have some economic reports this week, and perhaps those will provide some direction to the market. But while that SPX is rising, of course, generally whenever the SPX rises, volatility, as kept tracked by the CBOE VIX index, will fall. And you can see it pretty much fell in time with the SPX rise. And now we're back down to 1635 at the close on Friday. And that's pretty close down there to where we've been a lot of the last 6 months. We've had a few pops above, and we've had a few dips even lower, but that's right in line with the lower track of where we've been over the last 6 months. So given all that, I think it's time that we can take a look at our old friend, the calendar trade, also known as the time spread. Of course, a time spread like this involves selling the nearer term short and buying a long further out, trying to take advantage of the difference in time decay between the two options, as well as volatility can help you or hurt you with this trade. It is long vega, meaning that if volatility goes up in your favor, that's good for you. In fact, every point it goes up in your favor, you will have about a $61 change in your P&L. If it happens to go lower, though, against you, meaning your long loses its value faster than your short, then you could have every point that happens would be $61 against you. But this long volatility nature and very sensitive, this is the most sensitive to volatility trade that I do. Whenever it works for you, I've been out of a trade at 10% in 2 hours before, but you can't expect that. You'd probably be in this trade anywhere from 5 to 7 days, unless you had to adjust it or something, because it does have another feature that is very desirable, and that is a very high time decay. You can see here on one contract doing this 4 days wide, the theta is about $30 a day. And of course, every day that passes, that number will rise because as options get closer to their expiration, they decay even faster. So here I have modeled the 19th of December short, 4 days later, the 23rd of December long. Now you'll see sometimes I might even do 3 days wide. The reason I did 4 here, 2 reasons. It will give us faster time decay, but you have to balance that against how high is the volatility, how likely it is to go down against you. And while I feel it could still go down a little bit, it's not likely to be a 3 or 4 point drop like we saw this week because volatility is already in the lower end of the range. We could dip under 15 for sure, but it's unlikely we'd be down into 12s or 13s by the end of this week. And with this trade, you also get a lot of room. Look at the room between the break evens. Now, that's the expiration break evens. And as long as our trade tracks along in there, we can ultimately make money. This is the kind of trade, even though we're putting it on for the 19th, and by the way, why are we going that far out? Well, the reason we're going that far out is doing it for this Friday can be quite problematic. If it goes against you, you don't really have any time to fix it. And if we do next week, you're walking right into a Fed rate decision. And it's likely that you could have the short, if you sold the 12th, kind of hold your whole trade up. Now, there's a chance you could get out of it sooner, even with the 12th, but I think you're much better off going out yet one more week to December 19th. And the reason for that is it won't be taking part in any large way with the angst and tension around the Fed rate decision next Wednesday. And this is the kind of trade where still, you can see here, if we paid $650 a contract, like it's showing here on Sunday, November 30th, if we get to this Friday, you could be up over $100. By the way, if we were going for an 8 or 10% goal, what is 8 or 10% of $655? Well, right, it'd be around $60, $65. So we could, just based on pure time decay, now this is not factoring in volatility working for or against us, but just on pure time decay, we could be out of this trade even by the end of the week, even though it's out a couple weeks further. Now, this is an issue to some folks. Sometimes when you put a trade on and they see it's way out in time, oh my goodness, I'm going to be in this trade till December 19th. Very, very unlikely that you'll be in this trade that long. Excellent chance you'll be out of it 5 to 7 days, like I said, if you don't have to adjust it, even sometimes if you do. And that's another thing about this, it is easy to repair if you need to. And you can put on a fair amount of contracts if you're used to trading a little larger. Even with the price here at 655, that's not one of the more expensive trades, is it, that we do? So that's the kind of trade I'm looking at so far this week. Now, when we get into tomorrow, something could change, maybe volatility spike. Well, we probably have to shift over to one of our other strategies. But if we get into tomorrow, maybe halfway through, and volatility still in this range or lower, I'll be looking to do something like this. I think it makes the most sense in this environment. So that's what I have for you guys this week. Hey, I will be doing a sale as soon as I can get it on this week for the rest of the month. 20% off all of my courses. And I hope you guys check that out. All the links are there in the description. Now, if you go there now, the 20% won't yet be reflected, but it will be there. Hopefully by Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm going to work on getting that on the site so you can do that. I'm also going to be doing a sale on mentoring if you want to sign up by the end of the year like I normally do. And of course, I'll get all that information out to you. Most likely for you here on YouTube, I'll get it out to you next Sunday. I should have all that, the sale on my courses and on my mentoring. And I'm thinking of maybe even a sale on joining my Trade Alert service and Traders Lounge. So we'll see how all that goes this week, but be looking for some nice holiday discounts from me over the next week. And I'll be back with you next Sunday with another edition of the Options Mentor. Have a good week. Be careful there. Hopefully we continue with this low volatility and we can do these calendars. It is really a terrific trade whenever you can put it on in the correct environment like we're in now. So have a good week, folks. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.